There's not really much more that we have to do. As far as the mechanics of this, I think next thing will be pull the spark plug out and see what that looks like. Since we're already in here, and it's a pretty straightforward job, let's go ahead and pop that out. I have a new plug on the bench. $3 at Napa, hard to complain. Popping the spark plug off is just removing this cap, and then grabbing a spark plug socket to pull that out. There's our spark plug. It actually appears to be in pretty nice shape. We're going to put a fresh one in anyway because we can, but that's a good sign. That means that the inside of the scooter probably didn't get too gross. Probably running a little bit rich based on the color, but it's a 2-stroke spark plug. I'm just happy it's there, not burned out. New auto light plug goes right back in, and we're using the factory spark plug wrench, which is convenient. Came with that, so not too many foot-pounds of torque here, just enough to keep it tight. Spark plug cap goes back on. Should go in all the way and seat nice in there. This little boot may need to slide up just a little bit. So this seals in to keep water and everything out. That should be pretty much everything we needed to do to get this back up and going. We're going to find out if it starts up. Now, we're not going to run it for very long because the garage door is closed. But let's find out what happens. Kickstand kill switch, maybe? Okay, there's no kickstand kill switch. But I had not reconnected my auto choke. Maybe that was it when I looked in here. Let's try again and hope this does it. Okay, so new spark plug, new tires. We need to put new brake pads in. Overall, we've got a really nice, well put together scooter. Again, it should start up pretty quickly here. Right away. Coming back into it, we've got the Buddy 50 back on the bench. Not sure where we left off. We'll pick that up. What we have to do now with tires installed, we have to replace those brake pads. We have now is a fresh set of Prima brake pads. Got these off of Amazon. You can get them off of eBay, kind of wherever you want to. But with these now, we've got a fresh set of pads to chuck on the scooter here. That should get us back into stopping. We already know it runs. It runs pretty well. We need to put some heat in it so that we can adjust the idle. So once we get the engine warmed up, we can adjust the idle. And then mechanically, we're pretty much all set on this guy. Still need to put the body panels back on. Need to align the body panel up here. But for a pretty reasonable cost, we've got the scooter up and going. Now once we ride it, we may discover there's other things that need to be addressed. I know the body panels are a little rough. I priced out a full body panel set for this, of all the pieces I need, is going to be something like $700 or $800. I certainly wouldn't say the scooter is going to be worth $1,700, $1,800, $1,900 if I put a full brand new set of plastics on it. So maybe we replace the fender where there's a big thing and replace the front panel. We're still at like $200. This blacked out headlight bezel up here, that's a little rough. Hopefully we can kind of pick that up. But what we'll do is we'll try to get the scooter put together, running right, as cleaned up, as nice as it can be, see how it goes. and then we'll make the decision if it's going to be something that I keep and maybe turn into a track day scooter so I can drag it around to the pits with me. Maybe I sell it. Maybe I know somebody who wants to buy it. We'll kind of see where that goes, but it should clean up pretty nicely. We'll go ahead. We're going to put the new brake pads on. So little lubrication on the caliper, little lubrication on the pin, little lubrication on the back of the piston, on the back of the caliper there, and then on the brake slide pin. Just make sure that's all nice and cleaned up. And we'll have something that's not that wafer razor thin brakes. So let's do that, and then let's kind of check in on where the scooter is, maybe get it out for a test ride. Scooter's ready. New set of brake pads, 12 mil, 6 mil Allen. That should be everything we need. Pair of pliers. Pair of pliers. Should be everything we need to change our brake pads. So, knock the caliper off here. And once that caliper's off, then we can go ahead and start looking to get that brake pad swapped out. We'll go ahead and release our circlip back here, get this out, and drop our pads. Here's a great example of how bad those brake pads were. I mean, that is right on the edge of non-existent. You know, you can almost see the ridge on the top there. That's what it really should look like. So, definitely worth spending the $18 and getting these shipped in. The delay, waiting for them to arrive, never fun, but new brake pads. Little brake pad lubricant. So that'll go on the back of the pad, help that piston as it moves, and then a little bit on our sliding pin here, which I cleaned up a little bit. Cleaned that up a little bit, but hopefully it gives us good brake actuation. Enough for a scooter. It's a 2-stroke 50cc. We're not going that crazy fast. So we'll go ahead, we're gonna get this all slammed back in. Brakes should be good. Okay, so we've got the pads back in, we spread the pistons out, everything fit on as it should, and we should be pretty much good to go. We did use a little bit of lubricant on the slide pin and on the back of the caliper. We did use a little lubricant on the slide pin and on the back of the brake pads, just to help keep everything from sticking and getting too gummy. The inside of this was pretty clean after I wiped it up in the last go around at them. So now that everything's sort of where it needs to be, a little bit of blue Loctite on our brake caliper mounting bolts. That was on there when I put them on, so we'll put the blue Loctite on. We'll put them snug. I could look up a torque spec. I should look up a torque spec. I probably won't look up a torque spec, but Loctite and a little bit of Ooga should be just fine. Let's finish putting this together and then kind of just take a once over on where the buddy sits. Front wheel up, spins, little pressure we got to build in the brakes, should do it. Well, that works. All right, brakes stop the scooter. Maybe I'm a little premature on that one. I think the brakes should stop the scooter, even with my big shaved ape on it. However, we've got a scooter that should run, should stop. We know the tires are sound. We're going to check the tire pressure just to be safe before we take it out. But I think it's time to, at least even in this relatively deconstructed stage, see what the scooter can do. So I'm going to put the battery box cover on the floor just so that's out of the way. I'm going to set the seat bucket in, clean up some tools, and then we'll take this out around the block and see if it works the way we hope it does. When we come back in, then we can go ahead, we can adjust the idle, get that dialed in so it's not running, too fast, too slow. I don't really have a good tachometer for this. You can get one that wraps around the spark plug wire and it'll give you a tach signal. In our case, it's a scooter. We're just going to adjust it with the little thumb screw on the carburetor until it feels like it's idling strong, but not too low, not too high. I'll know it when I see it. But let's get cleaned up. Let's get this out and see what it does. Well, so far, it works. Comes to a stop. Let's see how it does. Well, we got the buddy back on the bench, and it ripped pretty well. I don't know that I really have anything to complain about as far as how well it worked or how it performed or anything like that. Really, it did everything you could ask of it. I didn't have to worry about the brakes. Those stopped us just fine. The rear brake may need a little adjusting. The rear brake may need some adjusting. It feels like it wants to grab right at the end of the travel. Although, squeezing it cold, it's fine. So, maybe it's just the rear brake shoes. I looked at them when I had the wheel off. I don't recall them being particularly noteworthy as being high or low. But, we've got a scooter. So, I think the next plan is going to be get these guys off. Just because the front plastics are all misaligned and kind of wonky. So, we'll take the front plastics off. We'll get them clipped back in as best we can. Maybe I'll troll Facebook and see if somebody's got some of the gloss titanium body panels that are in better shape than what I have. Overall, I am thrilled at how well the buddy did. Final thing we're going to, before we call it here, I think the last thing is check the idle now that the scooter is good and hot. I mean, that was 10 or 15 minutes of running it pretty solid, pretty strong. Got to turn the key on. Little low it might be. So, little thumb screw in here. Let's see if we can give you a quick shot of what you've got to be adjusting. This is going to be your idle screw, so turning it to the right raises your idle. Turning it to the left lowers your idle. There probably is a fuel air mixture screw behind this little plug, but not worried about that today. We're just going to turn that idle up a little bit and see what we get. So, with that adjusted, that's a pretty good idle. A little fast as it builds. So just back it down a hair. A little more. A little more. That feels a little too low. We can kind of see the scooter's getting really shaky there. I think that's about it. Let's see how it revs up. Okay. Revs up clean and seems to drop back down to a pretty reasonable idle. So I think that tells us we are pretty good on that front. Oh, we're looking pretty good. Let's do one quick pass around the scooter. Got to put the side panels on here. I've got to put the beauty panel on here. Really didn't have to take off a lot of plastics, as we found out. Although this is still pretty rough. This is the really intense camera mount I hooked up. So in that case, I'm going to leave things off here. Maybe we'll cut to a little video riding again. But thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoy it. And I think everybody out there should get yourself some form of scooter. Ideally not a Chinesium one. Something of a somewhat reputable brand name. Loving my little buddy 50. Thanks for watching.